This is the Refuge Project.
Welcome to the Refuge Project. The Refuge Project is a place to gather many of constituents in a safe place. And we are back. It's that mumble rap.
Is it?
Mumble rap.
This sounded like
it's back.
You reading the side effects off your new.
How about you, Blue Chew?
Yeah. Oh, Blue Chew. That's the first thing.
How many seconds are we in?
That was 30 seconds.
30 seconds on the mention of Blue Chew.
He's a real proponent of Blue Chew. You know, he's always talking about Blue
That was
Chew.
just so funny. I just seen an advertisement for it, and that's bad. If that's in your algorithm, you know you're getting old.
No, dude. The Blue Chew, they're taking over the internet advertising
okay,
space.
good.
They're everywhere.
Whew.
It's tough to watch anything online that's not sponsored by Blue Chew.
Okay, good.
You know,
And
shout out to
BetterHelp.
Blue Chew. We're looking
And
for
Better health is popping right now, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, sure.
Because
Morgan and Morgan, they sponsor and everything.
people need to go see some psychiatrists around here. You know what I mean?
Hey, BetterHelp, go ahead and give us a little, help us out.
I think a lot of it's like you don't want to go and like, man, I'm going to see my psychiatrist today. And then you just pop open a Zoom meeting and you have your deal and go with it. I think it makes it a lot easier for people to get the help that they need.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are they sponsoring us yet or no?
No, I'm just talking about just mental health, period.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of...
We'll take the sponsorship.
Hey, Pastor Caesar knows this.
Yeah?
What do I know?
You,
I don't know where we're going in this.
as a pastor, you hear all the crazy.
Oh, okay.
People come to you with all their crazy. And you're just like, nah, I can't help with that.
You should go to BetterHelp.
Yeah, you should find a doctor.
That it?
You know, medication.
I have never recommended Blue Chew, which is probably.
Yeah, you need to start recommending Blue
Yeah.
Chew instead.
Hey, if I start having to like give advice for that, I'm opting out. Like you got the wrong office.
You're going to want to go down the hall.
Hey, shout out to the anonymous.
What?
The anonymous giver.
What is this?
I got an envelope on my desk that said, "Pastor David, thank you."
Is there anything in
Man,
the
that-
envelope?
So I pulled
What's
it
in there?
out.
Hey!
Hey.
It's a
Hundy.
$100 bill.
Don't know who
Thank
it's
you
from.
for what?
Man, that looks like your handwriting.
It really does.
So
Pulling some
shout out to
trickery.
whoever gave me that, man.
All right.
Hallelujah.
What did you do? You done stuff?
You know, I don't do nothing around here.
You don't do nothing, dude.
It's like I'm trying to think about what he's done all week. Cause like he ain't done nothing.
Cesar's like, "What'd you do at church today?"
I don't know. They gave me another 100. Just keep finding these.
That's more than my paycheck.
Goodness. Well, that's nice.
Yeah, it's nice, man.
Very nice.
First time ever. You always hear about these pastors be like, "Oh man, you know this guy slipped me $100, but praise God. You know he gave me a free suit. Praise God." Ain't never had none of that.
You can't say that anymore. You got a $100 bill.
I take that back. During 3D Love Conference, my little circle gave me a $300 gift certificate to Hotel Zaza.
Ooh.
Which was we
Oh, that's right.
That's a big little circle you have there.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know how Mexicans roll. They roll
Yeah,
deep,
buddy. Yeah, buddy.
all in one car.
Yeah, buddy.
Anyways, and so Sandra and I went and did that this weekend, man. That was a good time.
Cool.
Went to ever been to Taste of Texas?
Oh, yeah, man. I got a gift card there right now in my wallet. I still got to use that.
5:30 we showed up.
Yeah.
Hour and a half wait.
Oh, you didn't make a reservation?
At 5:30. Well,
Yeah,
because
dude, 5:30.
this is the thing.
And was it last night?
That was Friday night.
Friday night? Yeah. What did you think,
Well,
dude?
this is the problem.
Go to one of the most popular restaurants right at dinner time on the weekend?
this is the
You're
problem.
going to be surprised there's a wait?
So Sandra and
crazy,
I,
dude.
we were celebrating 25 years. Yes, thank you.
Crazy. Yeah.
And
25 years you ain't learned to make a reservation, dude? She didn't tell
I
you that?
made
dude?
a reservation at the jewelry shop. Okay, and I
You
didn't
make
know.
reservations there?
Yeah,
I guess if it's a nice one, yeah.
I told him. I said, "Hey, look, 25 years.
Not the jewelry stores I go to.
Here's my budget. Can you have me some stuff like gathered up so my wife can pick something?
Right.
You know." And So we did that. I didn't know how long that was going to take, and then drive all the way across town. So, but it was cool. Me and Sandra found a little table at the bar that wasn't being used, so we just sat there and drank some Diet Coke and just chilled and talked. And it was.
They used to have. I don't know how they do it now. They got rid of a lot of it, but they used to have that waiting room. You know, and
They
would have
turned it
all-
into a bar.
Yeah. And so they don't have anything free in there now, or they have sodas, right?
They used to have like popcorn and some
They
different
used to have a
snacks.
whole spread.
Yeah, now it's they moved the soda machine outside, and then they put a bar there.
Yeah.
So,
Dude, you know what's funny about that soda machine? Last time I went to Taste, Texas, I haven't been there in a long time. I went with my parents, my sister, and my wife. We went. What did we go for? I think it was like a late birthday present to Tara or something. Anyway, we go and they got that soda machine outside, and we're leaving the place. We've already eaten. Everybody's full. We're just got to walk across the parking lot, right? And I see my dad going to that soda machine to get a soda, and I said he doesn't even want a soda, but he
can't pass them.
I said,
drink.
yeah. So he takes it. And so it's already funny to me that he's getting a soda, right? Because he doesn't want the soda. But he gets it. He takes a couple sips as we're walking, fills up the whole cup. Yeah, dumps it out in front, and then gets in the car. I said, that's so my dad. He said, well, we got it. I got to get my money's worth. It's a free soda.
Hey, man, their salad bar.
Oh, yeah, man.
Goodness gracious.
Oh, yeah.
And they had the big block of cheese. You just.
Oh, yeah.
But see, that's how
Go pick out your own steak.
That's how they get you, though. You know, because you want to fill up. I know I want to fill up on like the prime rib and stuff.
That's right.
But everybody, you get distracted by that beautiful green salad and the cheese and.
Now, dude, you skip lunch and then you go to Taste of Texas.
You know, I had a. This was
so you're starving. And you
I was not starving.
Before
afterwards.
Before I got married, I had this girlfriend that she was.
Shout out to the exes out there.
What do you mean shout out to them? Here's my shout out to them.
There we go. Yeah, hit that.
I'm sorry.
Drop that again.
Here's my shout out to the exes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, a minute of silence.
Play taps for me.
Do we have it? I don't think we got that one. Yeah.
You know, and she was high maintenance. You know, so
as all exes are.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't keep the high maintenance ones around.
I remember we got into an argument one time, and she said, "Hey, how come you never take me to one of them Brazilian steakhouses?"
Because you're not worth it.
You ain't Brazilian.
Oh, sorry. Go.
He been wanting to do that to his ex for a long time.
And I'm like, you were just saying that you were a vegan last week, and I'm not gonna spend $75 on a
meal you can't eat.
All you can eat meat, extravaganza.
And she said, "Oh, that makes sense."
No, of course she didn't. Of course she didn't.
What?
It was completely just unreasonable.
What was her reasoning? She said, "Why? How come we never go to the steakhouse?" You said, "Because you don't eat meat," and she said,
"You don't care.
You don't
about
love me.
You don't love me like that anymore."
Yeah, and it's like not $75 worth. No,
Hey, I have my brother-in-law.
What did she think was going to happen when she went?
I don't know.
The salad bar was going to be awesome. What did she think?
It's not. No salad in the world is worth $75. All right, so
Yeah.
Unless there's some filet mignon on top.
My brother-in-law is the best barbecuer around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's really not a place I can go. And this is how good it is. My kids always judge barbecue from his barbecue.
I get it. Yeah.
Is it as good as Uncle Patrick? Mm-hmm. And then tamales, it's always grandma.
Got it.
You know.
I get it.
So my niece thought she was going to go vegan at his house.
He said thought she was going to.
And this is the guy on like Saturday and
So
Sunday.
your niece, so this is his kid?
Yeah, his kid.
Okay.
And, he goes and cooks everything on Saturday and Sunday, all the meat. So there's just like spreads of meat. He has this big giant smoker and man, he's probably got 5 different ways to cook outside,
I like it.
And she's just like, no, I'm vegan. Like 3 days later, she's like, hey, can I get some of the chicken?
Change your mind real quick. I like it.
It sounds good until there's no more meat.
Tara, until there's no meat. Tara was a vegetarian when we first started dating.
and then
And well, so she liked it actually. What she got tired of was the social part of it, where
Being tired all the time?
no, she was
Oh.
like, she felt good. She was
Really?
doing good. But what she didn't like was, okay, we go out to eat with some friends, and now she gets a salad or something, and everybody says, "What, Tara? You're just getting a salad," and then having to have that interaction every time, and it's a whole thing.
And having to say
Anytime
the
you go-
same story over and over.
She
and
didn't
over.
like all that, so she finally just went, "Whatever, I'll eat some meat again. I don't want to have to keep doing this all the time." That was her whole thing, which is kind of sad, actually. But yeah, whatever.
That stuff don't bother me.
Well, speaking of all that, how's the whole keto thing that you were? What's the update on you?
Okay, so not bad. I went really good all week.
And then you went to
And then
your brother-in-law's house.
No, and then,
No, then you went to Taste of
Saturday.
Texas.
Saturday kind of not terrible, because it's a big meat thing.
Big steak salad.
But I did
bar.
have some breads, a few breads there. And then what got me is room service Saturday morning. The pancakes, But right after the pancakes, going forward, I'm right back on it, 6 pounds.
All right.
Okay.
6 pounds in a week.
Ew. Ew.
Okay. What do you think about breakfast for dinner? Shout out to my wife,
number one.
who loves breakfast for
Yeah,
dinner.
I'm down. That's
Number one.
That's probably 2 times a month.
Whenever
Two
we
times
first
a
got
month.
married, she's gonna hate me for this. Whenever we first got married,
Do
I
it.
honestly I felt that we had breakfast for dinner probably like 3 times a week.
3 times a week?
Yeah,
We used to
times
have it once a week for sure. This is what's good about that. Because no matter what you want, if you wanted to put it in a taco, you could have it in a taco. If you wanted to heat some, biscuits up, because HEB has the frozen biscuit.
Yeah.
Have you ever had those? If you
Not
have
HEB.
it and you're on bread,
And you're on bread.
get them because they are top notch.
Your own bread.
You're on.
Hey man, you got that bread, man.
You can throw some, pancakes with it, and everybody can have it the way they want it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You cook the bacon, throw it in the taco, or just eat it, and so I like it. You know what we did last week, or what we're doing this week? Actually, I wanted to try out Factor because we were super busy. All my
Is
kids.
Factor one of those ones where they send you the ingredients for a meal and then you cook it yourself?
No, Factor is all together already, and you just put it in the oven.
So okay,
Never
so they're
been frozen.
they're like one dish kind of
Yeah.
things.
Never been frozen.
Never been frozen.
So they have like local kitchens or whatnot.
Right.
That,
I'm
and
assuming, yeah.
Then they
Okay.
distribute to.
Yeah.
sounds
So,
good.
and I was just
What's
like,
the
that's
price
when-
point? What are we talking?
about $10 a meal.
Well, that's
like
that-
per person
Per
or
person,
like
yeah.
okay.
So Senator was just like, why don't we go check out HEB? Because they have their little section. So we went over there. They're like $7 to $8 a person.
Wait. So there you can buy Factor meals at HEB.
No, they're not. They're HEB.
But it's the
Factor-
HEB version.
Factor type meal.
Yeah, ready to go.
Got
You know,
it.
it's like salmon and a couple of vegetables and a little bit of rice or something like that. You know,
Okay.
and for $8, or there's a little piece of steak or pork chop or whatever. And so the kids, you go get you 3. Everybody picked out 3.
So it's like frozen dinner, except they're not frozen.
Yeah, they're fresh. Yeah, they all come from their meat market.
Yeah.
And it's been working out good. Because we get home, everybody puts their stuff in there, everybody eats what they want to eat, and because the kids have been real, like we used to do Hello Fresh. That's the one they send you
Yeah, we did
ingredients
that a
you
little
do,
bit.
and we loved it. But the kids were like, I don't like this. So then we try to figure out, and
They didn't like the Asian dishes or what?
that's the thing. There's lots of Asian
A lot of those.
stuff.
I like those ones.
And I don't eat Asian. Nothing against Asian people.
You don't eat Asians?
No.
David does not eat Asians. You heard
The
it here
only
first.
Asian food that I eat is
Better not say Panda Express.
I threw up on Panda Express one time.
I went through a panda phase.
Is the one they do right there in front of you?
Hibachi?
Hibachi. That is Noah's favorite place, Hibachi.
Any of those?
We had to keep Noah away from like places like Taste of Texas, Vic and Anthony's, because that'll become his favorite place.
Yeah.
The dude's got like super high end taste.
Yeah, he should. That's a good quality to have.
It is, but like you're 10.
Yeah.
You ain't got money yet.
Start them off right, yeah.
You did
Make them
it.
appreciate it. That's true.
There's a pattern emerging because last week he wanted to make us feel bad for his success.
Yeah. He's always doing that, man. He's always doing that.
I just testified what God's done in my life.
Yeah. He wants us to say, it's okay, dude. I'm so sorry you got all this money and he's not as happy.
I don't have a lot of money.
I'm so sorry, dude.
I don't have a lot of money.
It must be so tough having
That's
such
what
a big
people
driveway.
think. People think we have a lot. We don't have a lot of money.
Oh,
I
David.
just don't own no money.
Oh, David. Broke David over here.
I am broke,
Just-
man.
I can show you some broke people. Dude. Once again, come back to my neighborhood. I'll show you some
I
people.
lived in your neighborhood before.
Yeah, there's... Yeah.
Oh, so
I mean, not in your neighborhood, but the neighborhood just like it.
praise report, man. Last week, I got I've been working this new job now for 9 months, and that already gave me a raise.
Nice.
Yeah, so I put it. Yep, and now put in the group chat there that we have. I said, hey, I make enough now to be considered broke.
Hey, there you go.
There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I used to hate it. Like, you would get a couple raises, and then it would always be like every few years they would give you a raise, and they would raise you in the tax bracket, and then you would make less. I was just like, how does this even work?
Yeah. Well, we did our taxes finally this year, and
Man, I did them last night.
I still got to do mine.
It was okay. It wasn't as big of a return as I was hoping.
yeah.
It's all right.
I used to love to get returns.
Yeah.
That was the thing, man. Go out there and buy you a new couch, a new screen, big screen TV.
Yeah, I never did that.
Yeah, me neither. That's what everybody does. That's what everybody does, though, right? Isn't that what they do?
That and rent.
Well, yeah, that's what broke people do. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
complain
Broke
about how
people
they're
spend
broke,
it.
they ain't got any
Or
money on it.
or
and
like
then-
December, they're like, "Hey, bring me your tax return. We'll go ahead and front it to you right now and get you a brand new set of rims."
Oh, dude.
When I was 19, I was working at the pawn shop. And you always knew whenever it was either the 1st or 15th or it was tax season. And people would come in there and they would just buy up the dumbest things.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you even want that?
Yeah.
I just got
Finally
money.
got some money.
I got some money. Burn a hole in my pocket.
So people actually shop at pawn shops.
Oh yeah, you find some deal. Yes. The rest of the world tries to find a deal.
Why do I
Yeah.
keep opening
Yeah.
my mouth?
People actually buy used things.
Why wouldn't you just buy it new? It's so much better. What? Get it together, people. Just get it together.
I'm really not this snobby.
He's-
I'm really not.
You acting real brand new. That's what you. Pawn shop? What is that?
And look, dude, get this. And he just shows up in his office, and there's envelopes of money on his office.
Sandra wanted to know who was paying me off for what.
You know what I mean? Like, it's. Hey, I like it though. I'm happy for you.
She said, "Give it back. They're gonna blackmail you."
You remember that 100, don't you?
No, you enjoy that. You go back to Taste of Texas, get you a salad.
I'm gonna buy me a pair of tennis shoes. Hey, speaking of tennis shoes,
Did you ever get those ones that came in?
yeah, man, so super dope. I got me some fake tennies. Yeah, I don't think I'm ever gonna buy a new pair of tennies like a regular set of tennies again.
They were like, I don't think he said on the podcast. He got some fake Nike something.
Okay.
Travis Scott's. They're like $1,500 if you try to go buy them.
But he bought some Chinese something or another for
$38.
$38.
There you go.
Hey, and that's
Now,
how you get the
I
money.
got a what do they call that? I got an issue here that I've been thinking about.
You gotta send them back.
Got a moral issue.
Okay.
My moral issue is this okay
Is it okay to buy cheap shoes?
to buy replicas of name brands?
What's the conflict that you're dealing with?
Like intellectual property for the company and the creators and
Yeah.
them not getting their cut.
I think Nike's doing all right.
It's going straight to the little, Chinese people though.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
They're getting their money off of it instead
like
of
that.
having to.
Well, don't you have to like license the design from them or something?
I don't know.
I mean, is it detail for detail the same product, same material, same sourcing, same. If not, then you have a completely different product. Now, if it's the same branding with the little swoosh and stuff, I think you might get into a little gray area there. But You know what?
Looks 1 for 1 to me.
I don't think there's.
I got no problem with it, but I'm morally questionable when it comes to getting a good deal. So I don't know if you really want that.
Yeah, you got that missing filter on deals and value.
I'm into the deal, so you know.
Yeah, so we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I looked at them. There is some differences. You know, you can tell the difference in just little places, but on feet, you can't tell. Mm-mm. So I don't suggest like you go to high school with them on because they'll be like, "Oh, you're wearing fakes."
Yeah, I think there'd be an issue if you were like one of those preachers that was trying to make it on preachers and sneakers or whatever. Preachers with sneakers. What is that?
Preachers and sneakers.
Yeah. And then some people will be like, "Oh, look, cop the fit."
The dude from Pasadena got the fakes on.
That's cap. That's cap.
Pause.
I can't believe a word he said.
Y'all know more lingo than I do.
You got fake shoes, huh?
I say y'all know more lingo than I do.
Oh well,
I've been trying to catch up on my.
He's got teenagers, and I'm around teenagers. So.
Yeah. Well, he's been reading the Gen X.
I've been
Bible.
reading the Gen X Bible.
He's trying to.
It's really super crunk.
Jesus telling people to pause all the time. You say super crunk?
Yeah,
you haven't. Never mind. You haven't. Yeah, never mind. You don't know the lingo.
Oh well.
Culture corner.
Shoot, let's jump right into it.
Culture Corner.
Why can't we be friends?
Tell him why, Caesar. Tell him why.
Because he got that fake shoe.
Oh. All right, you want me to go? I'll go first. Here's the headline. South Korean student eats $120,000 banana artwork because he was hungry.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I said.
Say it again.
South Korea. You always got to get me to say it again. Here we go.
You know, I'm only paying attention to half the time.
I know. South Korean student eats $120,000 banana artwork because he was hungry.
So I thought they was smarter than Americans.
I'm not following.
This is the artwork, by the way. It's a banana.
So it was really a banana.
It's a banana taped to the wall.
So they could just replace that.
Yeah, so that was my thing too. So this kid, he goes to the museum and he eats the banana.
South Korea.
And they say, "What are you doing? You're hungry."
Y'all need to get y'all's government assistance up.
So he,
I'd understand if it was North Korean because they ain't got food.
Oh,
right?
Hey, now you talking? Take that, North Korea. Whoa, they ain't got bananas in North Korea.
Start shouting out to North Korea.
All they got is bugs in North Korea. Oh, they're out there eating crickets and stuff. Whoa, that's actually all
crickets.
true. Yeah, it's dinner time in North Korea.
Yep.
Anyway, so let me.
That's probably where my ex-girlfriend went.
Whoa, hey, come on now.
Shout out to the exes.
Come on now. Come on now.
No, all my exes
Live in
In
Texas.
Texas, yeah. So the artist's name is Maurizio Catalan, I think is how you say it. His art piece was titled Comedian, and it's like this really artsy. Well, it's an art piece. I'm sorry to say it's artsy. Anyway, so that's his art piece. He taped this banana to the wall, and he said it's called Comedian, and it was how did he describe it?
I guess because it's a joke.
Well, so banana has been represented in comedy, and it's also dude? It was so pretentious.
Oh, you like always slipping on the banana in those early comics and all that stuff, the black and whites and stuff. It's good.
He said he acknowledges that his work is largely satirical and pokes fun at absurdities of pop culture, even for those who have ingested his art. Like this other guy.
Ingested?
Oh yeah, because there's another dude that ate a banana. People keep eating his banana, basically. So he's not even mad about it because they got to replace the banana every 3 days. So the museum was just like,
Might as well feed the hungry.
yeah, do it. But it went. So a lot of people are actually mad at this guy.
But where
does
where does the $120,000 come into play?
It didn't properly describe it. So I don't know if the art installation paid him to be like, tape your banana on our wall, or what? Because it says he sold it for $120,000.
What did he sell?
He sold the banana.
Intellectual property?
I guess. Yeah. So a lot of people don't like his art because they say it's not real art. It's like he's got a lot of critics, basically, that would say all the things you'd think.
That's the ones that got paid less than $100,000.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the ones.
It feels like the punchline to the joke is the actual eating of the banana.
It's the satiric. Yeah, that's it, man. And let's see. He said, in this case of comedian, that's the name of his art piece. Let's see. He told them that the banana is a symbol of global trade, because you get that out of that. A double entendre, as well as a classic device for humor.
That's entendre.
Entendre. I've never heard that word before.
Come on.
Entendre.
You have all the words.
What is entendre? Oh, by the way, I told Caesar. Rayanne, my sister,
Shout out, Rayanne.
is texting me.
You got all the shout outs today.
She texted me, I think it was yesterday. What did she say? She said, where'd it go? She says, extruding is not a word. She
Extruding.
just texted me that out of nowhere. And I said, oh, she must be listening to the podcast, because that's what she does. She starts texting me when she's listening to podcasts.
Speaking of last week's podcast, if you got caught off at minute 59,
We re-uploaded.
It's re-uploaded, so go listen to the one that says full podcast, and you'll get the rest of it.
Yeah, not sure what happened there. We keep having SD card issues.
Yeah, we need to order some new SD, because these are the same ones we've been doing for, 2 years now?
Blue Chew might help that SD.
That's true. We could use a little...
So you can keep going longer.
Stupid. But yeah, she says extruding is not a word. And so I Google it, and I send her a definition for extrude. It has a T in it. The one she sent me does not have a T. So I guess we were not pronouncing the T.
So what were we talking about?
I don't know. But we were talking... The definition for extrude is to thrust or force out. So we might have been talking
shout
about
out
Blue
Blue
Chew
Chew.
last night. I don't know. We might have been... I don't know. Whoa.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, she said, y'all for sure said extruding. She was... said, okay.
A double entendre is something that has double meaning, James.
Entendre. Meaning.
Double meaning.
All right, Ryan. Text me about that, huh?
You never heard of that?
I don't think so.
That's like the rap game, right? They're
Yeah.
always using the doubles.
Okay,
Doubles
but do
and-
they say, here comes another double entendre? Entendre. No, they don't.
I'm over here bobbing my head. I'm like, yeah.
Man, that was tight.
I don't think
Run
they-
back that beat.
Do they say entendre as they're doing it? We don't say, here's some symbolism. I'm about to hit you with a metaphor. I don't think they do that. I think they just do it. So, no, I haven't heard the word before. Anyway, that's my story, dude. People are eating bananas.
That's comedy.
They are eating comedy bananas that are worth a lot. Yeah, so the artist didn't get mad. The museum didn't get mad.
And the
They
guy
just-
and the guy that ate it
and the guy
has a banana.
Oh, and he ate the banana and then he taped the peel
Oh,
back
that's
to
great.
the wall.
That's better art than the regular
And
one.
and the artist says that at the end. He says, honestly, that's kind of an art piece in itself, eating my art.
They should have both of them
If
up
you were
there.
going to pay for it, how would you split the bill?
Split.
Here we go.
Split. That's a banana joke. Is that a entendre?
Have you seen other parts of the world
Yes, I have.
eat bananas? They do it from the opposite way
They do
than
from
we
the
do.
bottom. They claim it's easier to open, and I disagree.
Have you tried it?
Yes,
Haven't
it
tried
was
it.
more difficult for me.
You know, I had a buddy.
But maybe I'm just stupid. That's always a possibility.
You know, this is a family-friendly show, so we ain't gonna go there. But
Well, not anymore. We just got that Blue Chew sponsor, baby.
I had a buddy that was just always very self-conscious about eating things like bananas and hot dogs and
Okay. I get it.
pickles and
Yeah, he didn't like it. Okay.
no, because then he never wanted it. He didn't want to get caught lacking. You know what I mean? And he's like, "What you doing over there?" What you? And I just get over it, man. just eat that banana.
Does he eat bananas now?
I don't know. We're not friends anymore.
Wow.
So that it was because of the banana thing.
That's
No. That was just.
Dave is looking into.
He's trying to restrain himself.
he doesn't
No, I'm
wanna-
trying to
PG.
transition.
Yeah, go ahead,
into-
transition.
But this isn't this conversation and this next one kind of go together.
Ooh.
We're talking about P Diddy. And,
Yeah, tell me about P. Diddy.
P Diddy's been in the news lately.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's been a lot of stuff going around him.
You see that video, that old video of him on a talk show with Tyson? And Tyson's like moving his hand
Yeah, I
away
saw
from
that.
him.
I
saw that.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
funny to me.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I mean, if you haven't heard, they're like raiding all of his homes, and he's like on the run. He got his jet and like.
Why are they
bounced.
raiding his homes?
I guess there's some accusations about him having some human trafficking, different things. Him bringing some
yeah.
females and males in to be part of his parties and
Oh, yeah.
different things like that, and a lot of accusations of him maybe having inappropriate relationships with little boys.
Maybe.
A lot of names like Usher, Bieber, big names like that have come up out of it. And then over the last few months before all of this went down, there was a relationship sparked up with TD Jakes. And then TD Jakes. Between Diddy and TD Jakes.
Diddy and Jakes.
And so
Jakes and Diddy.
it was interesting because as soon as this happened, TD Jakes was just like, look, I went to one of his parties. I was mentoring this young man, but we bounced early. Like, we didn't stay for the crazy stuff or whatever. So everybody, of course, I don't know what everybody thinks about TD Jakes or not, but this is not, if you like TD Jakes or not, was, definitely throwing darts where you shouldn't have been there in the first place, this and that, blah, blah, blah. He didn't come out and, say it like everybody wanted him to say it. So all of this stuff went down with Diddy. Things got raided. Well, now like Diddy's people are talking. And so one of the guys said that the reason why P. Diddy reached out to TD Jakes is because he knew that things were going to crash down, and he was going to piggyback his relationship with TD Jakes to try to help him come out of all of this
PR
stuff.
move.
Yeah. Wow. You playing with God now.
Yeah.
Playing.
Like,
He's been
it
playing.
wasn't even like, oh, well, since we had this relationship, I'll use it. But he like had the forethought of reaching out to him, getting him in my camp. Maybe this will help in the PR when it all crashes down, the whole thing. So
That's kind of smart.
is it?
I think so.
I think it's going to end up like Judas.
Yeah. No, he's kind of smart from before he dies perspective.
Like a secular like move or whatever.
Yeah. Business move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's already on a bad spot spiritually. So.
Yeah. So that was the thing. So
I don't think
I don't
that
know,
was
man.
what
I
did
think
it
that
for
man,
him.
when we start like using God's people as pawns, you got a special place.
Good
You
luck.
know what I mean? So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting when the guy was talking about that. He was just like, everybody's concerned about what TD Jakes is doing. Let me tell you, TD Jakes hadn't done nothing inappropriate. This was
Yeah.
a pawn move by Diddy and all
I
this
guess
stuff.
did not work if they got explained.
Well, I heard a theory this morning that there hasn't been any arrests yet, and they're looking at this kind of like they've looked at the whole Epstein type deal.
Yeah.
Because on the Epstein case, you have Epstein that went to prison. You have his side chick or whatever, Grisella or
Some Maxwell, but
Maxwell, the Maxwell chick. She went.
Ghislaine.
Ghislaine.
yeah.
Ghislaine. She
Grisella.
I think that's that movie on Netflix with their godmother or something. She's in prison for getting the girls,
Yeah.
but nobody's in prison for actually doing the thing.
Yeah.
So that for however the powers of people have been able to keep that list like out of the news.
Yeah.
And so what they're saying, there's a lot of people, higher people in the industry that were videotaped. Like Diddy did a lot of the same things by hitting cameras, blackmailing people, different things like that. So this raid of the houses was more of going in there and capturing some of the evidence. So
I've heard these stories.
So it's never released on the people they don't want it released on.
Yeah, I've heard these theories too. To me, half of me kind of agrees that kind of stuff might be true, as in like where's all the this person's in trouble for selling girls to people, but none of the people that bought the girls are in trouble, so they must be in.
That's like the Clinton body count, right?
So like I get half of that, but then the other part of me is kind of like, well, it's probably tougher to like legally prosecute these people that were just at the party than it is to prosecute the girl who's been throwing the parties and getting the girls for years, that they have all these eyewitnesses and It seems like it would probably be tougher, right?
Yeah, probably. But then you have like situations, with the Clintons, and the Clintons are like really driving that whole thing because they're the ones, and their camp is the really ones that have a lot to lose. But that one he had reached out to the FBI or the CIA or whatever.
Talking about Diddy still?
No, we're talking about the Clinton with the Maxwells and all them. Well, that guy was found hung in his barn by a extinction cord and shot in the chest by a shotgun. And then the shotgun was like 30 feet away, and it was a suicide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean,
with the Epstein stuff, I'm way more inclined. To me, that one is, there's no doubt that people are manipulating that whole situation, for sure. But the Diddy one, I'm less likely to believe that.
Why? Because it's a different kind of people?
It's different kind of people. Well, I don't know. So they're getting.
We're still talking about the ultra rich. I mean, because Diddy's worth $1 billion.
Yeah.
So we're talking about
true.
the same stature of people. They're just from different neighborhoods.
But did they have a list of people with Diddy like they did with the Epstein and all them?
Well, supposedly they had videotapes of all of this going down. So the thing they don't have, which is what was the list? The list was the airplane that was taking the people. Mm-hmm. That's the list, right?
In the Epstein case.
In the Epstein case. So there was no airplane that took them because it was all in the States.
Yeah.
So it was just people showing up.
Yeah.
Did y'all see that one where what's it's a male but dresses like a female, and he's called Booty Carlos or Booty something.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And they raided the house, and he comes out with this sports bra. I'm a celebrity. I'm a celebrity. Dude, that video was so funny. And I was just like, this represents the whole case.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all these crazy celebrities.
No, I'm a celebrity. Yeah, that was pretty.
For me, I think it's a smokescreen for something else. He's so high profile, and he's in the ultra rich camp, absolutely. But I just feel like it's the person or the people that sign his paychecks that are the ones that don't want this to blow up even more.
That makes a lot of sense, because who are they? They're the record executives, and guess that's the ultra rich white people, right? So that kind of makes that makes sense.
Well, they're also probably going to be held liable to a certain extent, because they're probably funding a lot of this stuff.
Well, that was one of the things that are coming out, that a lot of these parties that we had was like there was some direct funding by some of the larger record labels.
And there's like 3 or 4 companies that own all the media outlets, right? And everything else is just umbrellaed under them. And
which is crazy, because you have like ultra liberal people owning the ultra right media sources.
Yeah,
that's
no. But that's where you go. That's where you go. It's not about a red party, a blue party, or whatever other kind of party. It's the only thing that matters is green.
Yeah, I mean, with those old record deals, I forget the term they have, but they used to have things they called like the something budget, where it was just like some generic thing like the gas budget or something, but it would just be strictly for cocaine and drugs
Right,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But they'd call it something else. And so if he's an old school music industry guy where he's getting these multi-million-dollar advances and the record company's taking care of everything. So if he's using that money to go buy sex slaves and put on these parties for people, it's not going to look good for them either, especially if they knew about it, which they almost always do in some way or another. And they just kind of, just keep it quiet. Don't tell me about it. I don't want to hear. And so yes, I would agree that they would probably have a motive to try to quiet things
So those
down.
kind of people like that, the Godfather type of people, because there's been like he would like get these like male gigolos and make them have sex with other girls or whatever just for his pleasure. Is that like something that you just grow into, or is that something that's who you are this whole time, and then because of the money and stuff is magnified?
It's a perversion. It's something that happens to you over time.
It's a
sure.
sense of control. We always want to control people. I know a lot of us, we look at like these unsolved murder mysteries or like serial killers, whatever, and it's these people that they all have in all of that craziness, they have a string of commonality of it always boils down to a sense of control. And whenever you have somebody that literally the world is at their fingertips, what else is there to do? Humanity will always want to control humanity. That's why slavery in whatever form or fashion will always be a thing, because people will never change on this side of kingdom come, right?
Right.
But it's not just control. It's also like all these trauma things that manifest in these ways. Like you hear these days, people are big about like, I'm not going to kink shame and that kind of weird stuff. Mm-hmm. But all these weird things that they're trying to like be, what's the word? Accepting of and not. But it's all stuff that's like, that's not normal though. They're only like that because of these other problems that nobody's addressing. Like, it's not normal to want to be tied up and do all this. That's not a normal thing. That only happens because you had all this other stuff. It's like, why don't we focus on taking care of their trauma instead of just saying, well, let's not make fun of them for that.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the way I see it. It's like the big drug cartels and stuff like that. When you have these countries from all over the world going after the major cartel, right? And that cartel, he's bad, right? But like if you get rid of him, there's like a what do you call that?
The copycat. Or
you have all the other guys, all the other guys trying to step up and do that. But what do they call it when it's like a black, not a black hole, but like a void or whatever that comes within that's not holding the establishment together, right? I think it's the same thing on the other side. Is like once you remove God and there's like that void of God, all this ugliness just kind of runs wild through culture and everything else.
Definitely.
So I think that's what's going on right now. You have this huge like push away from like godliness and doing the right thing, and then just self satisfaction and acceptance and all those things, and it's creating a space that all the ugly stuff can just move through and create and go to the most furthest extent, and then say everybody has to accept it.
Yeah, well, it's the whole Roman gladiator concept, right? Whenever there was political problems in Rome taking place, and the people were taking notice, and they didn't want a revolt against Caesar, the people in power there. So what do? We install gladiators. We build a coliseum. We entertain the people so that they don't focus on really what's the issues that we're having internally over here, and we'll let them fight about the stuff that in the grand scheme of things is light work compared to the major issues, and
creating a vacuum, and that's what I was trying to think. You create that vacuum. Go ahead.
No, and then slowly but surely the integrity of the whole structure will break down, and but you keep people stuck in this loop of entertainment, and like you said, self gratification, self pleasure, even if it's perverse self pleasure, right? And And then that's what people focus on, and never really attack the deep core issues of life.
Yeah, I watched a comedy special one time from Mohammed something or another. He's
I know
out
who
of,
you're talking about.
he's
He's
out
a
of-
Houston guy.
Yeah, he's out of A-Leaf. And it was during COVID, and his whole thing was like, look at this hand, and while everybody's looking at this hand, he's just like all this like under the table stuff is going on, and all these different things. And I think, and his whole point is like, man, my name is Mohammed, and I live in A-Leaf, and I live right next door to a redneck, and you're all saying all these racist things are going on. I don't see that in my community.
Yeah.
We don't see that anywhere we go, but y'all keep putting it on TV, and y'all keep saying that's the way it is. And y'all are just trying to get people to focus on all of this other stuff while y'all keep passing laws, while you keep saying this is the way it's going to be, and you're, manipulating.
Nice.
Nailed it.
Everything that we don't want, but that really builds up the platforms that you're trying to put out there. So.
Yeah, I mean, racism, prejudice is very profitable whenever you're trying to make your own agendas. Even if you don't believe in being a racist and you don't have a racist bone in you, but yet you're trying to pass along a certain agenda, you will use the race card to get you where you need to be, your party or whatever, to where you need to be. Racism is one of the most profitable institutions that we use today.
Yeah, well, you see it in the Black Lives Matter movement. Like those ladies just used that and made millions, and it never went anywhere in the name of Black lives.
Yeah.
And that's a shame, because there are communities that could have used that money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they just sent it towards the whole alphabet and all of the things. They sent more to gay and lesbian and queer and all of them more than they sent it to the black communities. So
I heard a good joke about Black Lives Matter. The guy goes, I don't know that much about Black Lives Matter, but I know that they hate windows. And it just like cut to all them like looting everything and stuff. And it was so stupid.
that's terrible.
He goes, I don't know that much about them, but I know they sure hate windows.
I didn't know where that was going. I just
So we got a song for you today.
felt like a banana on a wall on that one, man.
Yeah, I'll give you a song. Okay, this
Hope
is by...
it's better than that joke.
It's funny. I liked it. It's a good joke. This is called As Real As It Gets by Wes Schrock.
In a world made of counterfeits, losing friends over politics, finding faults for the thrill of it. What's the point? There's a way through the thick of it. Set my heart to live opposite, giving grace for my mistakes. You build me up again. You're as real as it gets. You're as real as it gets. Life's not worth the living if you're not the heart of it. You're as real as it gets. In my phone lives a fantasy. Scroll my way through the apathy. Lose a day for the dopamine. Help me, Lord. There's a way through the make-believe. Face to face, vulnerability. Trade the blue light for the blood of our humanity. You're as real as it gets.
Wes Schrock. I think is how you say his name.
Spell it so they can go and check him out.
Wes, W-E-S, Schrock, S-C-H-R-O-C-K. I think it's the only song he has out right now. He's one of those guys I came across on, I think on Instagram or something. Last week I talked about how I feel like there's a kind of a new surge of this like Christian indie music kind of coming up. And this was one of the guys that I was referring to, actually. He just put this single out a couple weeks ago, but he's apparently got a bunch more coming.
If that's his first single,
well, so he was, he does, it's the big in the social media world. You give like a quick little like 45-second video that tells who you are and
Right.
here's my new song coming and stuff. So his, apparently he was like a worship leader for forever, and then something happened in the church where he got fired, and now he's just making music. Anyway, but yeah, I'm liking some of the stuff that I'm hearing. So,
but for you to have that good of quality for your first song was,
yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty critical on Christian music.
Well, like I'm saying, I think that's not like the first song he's ever written.
Right.
That
makes sense.
He's been doing music for a decade and leading worship and stuff.
And you always see like on all those, TV shows, American Idols and all those stuff that like you get, they said to be like really good at something, you have to have like so many hours of doing it, 10,000 hours. And that's what church gives you.
It's true.
Church gives you that every single week. You're on the stage, you're hitting the notes, you're, staying on beat, you're hitting whatever it is. And that gives you your 10,000 hours, way more than, trying to hustle up gigs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you add the favor of God, and then that propels you even more, so that's why you see those guys doing so well.
But yeah, so I'm very interested to see more stuff. I kind of hate when people, because everybody's into singles these days, and I kind of hate when you got like a couple singles out and that's it.
I mean, I think
because then you can't listen. I go, oh, that was good. I want to listen to the album.
Yeah.
And there's no album.
But I think you have to do that unless you're one of those guys like that can just go in. I'm a hip hop guy, so I'm always going to refer back to hip hop, like Lil Wayne, that can just go in the studio and just spit and be done. Mm-hmm. Unless you can create like that, like a Tupac that can go in and record 100 songs in a weekend. Yeah. To stay relevant these days, you almost have to drop singles constantly.
Well, so if you're doing it constantly, then that doesn't bother me as much. Yeah. So you put out a single, 2-3 weeks later, you put another one out. A couple weeks later, you put another one. That's okay to me. But I hate it when it's like you do like 2 releases a year.
Yeah.
You put out a single in January and then you just promote it till July, and then here's my new single. Yeah. And it's like, okay. All right.
These days I think you have to be pretty consistent on singles, dropping one a month. Mm-hmm. And then by the end of the year you have you have an album.
Yeah, you do stuff like that.
Because everybody's like on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Even if it's bad in the news, just wait. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Something else worse will happen, and then that'll be gone. And
it's funny. I'm a total hypocrite though, because I just put out a couple singles. We're gonna put out another single, but that's mostly just because we don't have a full, album ready to go.
And why is that?
We've been really busy with stuff. It's tough to focus on a show and recording new music at the same time and have them both be good. So for a while we were playing shows, and so it's like you put all your free time into getting ready for the shows, make sure the show's good. And then when you're not playing shows, you put all your time into recording and mixing and all that stuff. It's tough to make a lot of progress on both at the same time.
Yeah.
So we did put out those singles. We put out one in January. We put one out, I think it came out February. And then we're about to put out another one in a couple weeks. Me and Caesar just took some photos for it yesterday. So hopefully that'll be out pretty quick because now I've got everything. I got the song done, and we just got the album art taken. So
thinking about that, and in years gone by, I remember making an album in a band that I was in years ago now, 16, 17 years ago. But we went into the studio, we cut an album, man, but it was, the songs were about different things, different topics. But, I've always thought about that in this scenario where you hear somebody's EP or just a single that they drop, you want to go hear the rest of the album. You know, do you ever find it difficult to maybe reframe your mind in how you make an album with, like, is this going to be like a concept album where everything, there's like a unified theme and everything, or?
We've never really tried to do that. So one of these days I'll probably do something like that. When we put out the full-length album that we did, it was just like we had a few songs that were done, and then we had a few more that were almost done. And we were trying to decide, should we start putting out some singles? Should we do an EP? And we ended up saying we were so close to a full-length album, let's just wait a few months, record a few more, and put out a whole album. And so when we were writing, recording those songs, we weren't necessarily doing it with the idea of this needs to be in a certain, like, we weren't trying to make a whole cohesive thing. We were just trying to make a good song, and then it was make another good song and make another good song, and then we just kind of put them together, and they were overall fairly cohesive. There's a few that kind of stick out, but yeah, we weren't intentionally trying to do a thing. So one of these days I might do that, but I'd like to do that, but man, all that stuff just takes so much more time, which is fine if that's all you're working on.
Yeah.
But when it's like you both got your own jobs and stuff to do, it's tough to, you only have so much free time.
Right.
And like I said, it's like, okay, you got a show coming up. We've got like, I don't know, 10 hours of free time this week collectively. What are we going to spend it on? And
Yeah.
It is tough to do so much.
I saw this interview just this last week on this guy I really like to follow on YouTube is Rick Beato. I don't know if you've seen any of his stuff, but
Yeah.
music producer, sound engineer, musician, whatever.
He's like old school.
Yeah, old
version.
school, and he's got just incredible content, and it's free. I think most, if not all of his stuff is free. But just an incredible voice, and that has been doing it for decades. Big artist, but he had this, he has this series where he talks to the artists of, these legendary bands on how they went. This last one that I'm referring to is the Stuart Copeland, the drummer for the Police, right? And he starts off the conversation or the interview. He goes, I don't have interviews. I have conversations. And then Stuart Copeland, if you've ever heard him speak, I mean, he only knows bad language, right? But I think he's one of the most influential drummers, one of the greatest of all time. And
The Police were huge.
Yeah. And you hear their process and all these things, and he says that most of the a lot of what we heard or what we hear, Roxanne or whatever, those were one take. Those were all just one take, and it's what he felt, and he never plays anything twice. So I think that's a very interesting perspective of whenever you talk to artists and how they develop these things. But you say it takes so long to do those things. He said that Sting would take 4, 5, 6 months for one song and to arrange his different parts. And
sometimes that's how it is. Sometimes you write the thing in a day. It's also different if you have like a full band that's working on the thing. So like one of the bands that I've been working with, the Vortex band that we put out that single with, they're a band. There's 4 of them. So when they go to write stuff, I think there's usually 1 or 2 that will kind of bring an idea to the other, but then they flush it out as a band, and then they go play shows where they play the song, and they do that for months or whatever, and then they say, okay, let's record it and put it out.
What's that
so
joke?
That's a different what?
What's that joke whenever it's like the drummer says, "Hey guys, I have an idea," and everybody goes, "Oh,
yeah." But so that's a different process than if you're something like me, where you're just going to kind of try to write all the parts yourself, record some stuff, and say, "Well, let's try it like this," and record it. It's different. It's a different dynamic, And so when you do have a whole band, and they're playing shows regularly, and they're kind of fleshing out the song live a few nights a week, you get a way better scenario when it comes time to record it and put it out, where they can say, yeah, we know how this song goes. We've been playing it live for 2 months. You can do 1, 2 takes, whatever.
Right.
It's a lot easier to do that.
That's like a stand-up comedian type.
Yeah. You got to go work it out in front of people.
Yeah.
Which I like that, because me and Ben will do when we're writing stuff and then recording it, we're not usually working it out in front of people. And usually, the version we do bring in front of people is probably a slightly different version than recorded because of all those stuff I've talked about before. So it's interesting to see songs change live. Once we do start playing the song live in front of people, the way it kind of changes because, this just works better live like this, or because of the instrumentation we're using. So it is interesting to see that. But our process is kind of reversed, as opposed to if you had a full band with a bunch of members and stuff. And then you have everything in between. You have like the singer-songwriter version of that, where maybe it's a dude with an acoustic guitar, makes a whole album like that, and then puts a band together to go play them live. And you got all sorts of different versions. It's interesting.
Who's that one person that said some statement regarding of before you write that one good song, you have to write 1,000 bad ones?
Gandhi.
Yeah. I think it was.
No, it wasn't Gandhi? Okay.
Was it Mao? No.
Well.
Anyway, it's a Chinese dictator, murdered a lot of people.
All right, so let's talk about wisdom. There hasn't been a lot of on this podcast today.
Oh, is that what we're talking about today?
Ironic, right?
Go ahead. Hit us with some wisdom.
Some
bro.
wisdom, like things that we've learned over the years that we can share with other people. Because what they say, you got to learn from others because you don't have time to make all the mistakes yourself.
That's
right?
a good wisdom. I like it.
And that came from somebody smart.
Was it Biden? Did Biden say
No,
that?
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Nah.
Was it?
So over time, you learn these different things that you share with you different people in your life, and so Pastor Caesar had some things that he about thought of, and then when we were talking about it before there, I was just like, there's a couple of them that I always share with people, right?
Is your go-to statement?
Yeah, my go-to statement, especially in certain situations. When you're mentoring, different youngsters or stuff like that. So, tell us what you was like thinking to start it off.
Well, yeah, no, wisdom is always necessary, and we, all of us, we're always in a context to where we talk to people like people. We're not necessarily bringing an entire sermon to them. We're not psychiatrists. We're just talking to them and getting to know them. Maybe that's that pragmatic thing we were talking about the other day. But, I feel that at least in what I do in my interactions, before I start hitting people with Bible and, it says here in Psalm this or Proverbs that, or you talk to them first.
Are you being build a relationship with somebody that you want to get their ear?
It just might work.
Wow.
It just might work.
Wow.
Sounds pretty practical.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's spiritual enough, but it might work.
It just might work, and then you get encountered with all kinds of questions. So I was thinking about this, and it's like, before we get there, the kind of heart behind this topic was I was just remembering a time when I was in college. I was in it was some kind of procurement course that I was in, and the guy that was there was a Saturday class that I had to be there for 4 or 5 hours or whatnot. It was a long class, and but the guy was real dynamic, and I'm real thankful for that, because if you're going in at Saturday morning, taking an 8 a.m. Saturday morning class, you don't need somebody monotone. But he, in one of the sessions that we had, he had everybody...
Or early service at church.
Yeah. He had everybody just close your eyes. It wasn't the first thing in the morning because everybody would have fell asleep, but he had everybody close their eyes, and then he said, I want you to picture this. I want you to picture your own funeral. And you're in the casket, and it's kind of like a out of body, third person perspective kind of thing. And people start walking up to the platform there, and they start saying who you were and things that like if you've been to any funeral, people would go up there and say.
Like the real stuff or the lies that they say from the platform?
Well,
like, this dude was terrible, but somehow this dude is the greatest guy in the world.
Well, that's it. And that was the point of that whole exercise. And then he said, now I want you to just shout out some things that you would want people to say about your life and who you were. And then the standard stuff, kind, respectful, generous, happy-go-lucky, that kind of... And he had a T chart that he wrote on the dry erase board the positive stuff and the negative stuff, and the positive stuff way outweighed the negative stuff, right? There was just a few. And then he told everybody to open their eyes. They saw all the positives versus the negatives. And he said, now what are you going to do from this day forward to make sure that everything on the positive side of this T-square, this T-chart, is going to happen? And you've got to do that. So I thought, wow, that is some wise instruction there. Because if you want to be a person that is viewed as successful, go-getter, somebody that isn't held down easily or that will get up from failure, right? You've got to practice this stuff on a daily basis. You got to make it a daily rhythm of success in your life, and that's kind of the whole what I'm thinking about as far as well. What is just some general topics, some general things? They don't have to be super deep like that where, imagine you're dead, right? No, not like that. But, we talk to people all the time. And one thing that I think Christians have failed to realize is that we're talking to a person on the other side and not just like reading the script of like, do you have 5 minutes to talk about our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ? Mm-hmm. It's like, let's get to know who we are. So if you get somebody coming to me and say, hey, you get a young man and say, hey, James, I'm thinking about dating this girl, and she's not a believer like I am. She doesn't really hold to the Bible values. What do you think I should do?
Depending on the person, I might just say, it depends on if I know the girl and if I know the guy.
Okay.
If I know them both, and maybe I know the girl is bad news, I would just straight up be like, hey, you just should not be dating her. If I don't know the girl at all, I'd probably say it's not wrong to go out a few times with her. Because, people change. Like, when I met my wife, she wasn't going to church and everything. I know, crazy, right?
How did you make it?
How did I make it?
Yeah, because they always drag you down.
No, I pull people
The
up,
center
bro. I
always
pull
drags you
people up, dude.
Man,
Well, so this is the thing. So she wasn't.
I want faith like yours.
Well, this is the thing. So you never know.
You married already, though.
Yeah, dude, you're doing all right. It's fine. You're doing all right. To me, I'm more about people's character, So, like, if you're, like, a, quote, good person that I can trust, you're morally whatever, but maybe you just don't go to church for whatever reason. Like, in Tara's instance, she kind of went a little bit as a kid, but her family just didn't really go, so she doesn't go. But she was a good person. She's got, she's kind. You could trust her, all that kind of stuff. So we went out a few times, and then I'm still living my life. I'm still going to church regularly. So she asked me about that. Well, maybe I could come. I said, yeah, maybe you could, sure. And then she came, and, that's the whole thing. So it could work like that. But it would be different if she was, clearly not a trustworthy person who was trying to get me to. She was never trying to get me to do something that I said, this is wrong, I shouldn't do this. She was never trying to do that. So there's a difference in those kind of people. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's a situational thing.
So follow-up question, because this is a good question no matter what age. It's not because people they date at all ages, right? But what would you encourage somebody with whenever they are dating somebody and they're faithful to the church or whatnot, and because there's a lot at stake there, right? You're inviting somebody into your world now, into your closest contacts. Is there a time frame? Should it be approached more cautiously? What would you say, just at the top of your head? Don't think that much on it, but what would you say to somebody like, I've been dating them for a while. I want to bring them into my world over here, but I'm not sure if is it going to work out? I don't know. We're still in the let's see what happens.
Has this person been asking them to come, and they're like iffy on coming?
Sure. It's just a hypothetical. I have nobody in mind.
In that situation, I'd probably be more inclined to be like, maybe you should just move on. If you've been like trying to get them to come to church.
No. Let's just say then yeah, they're interested in each other, but they're just a little apprehensive about bringing them full on. It's like, you're gonna meet my parents. You're gonna meet this. You're gonna meet right.
Well, at some point you got to do it. So
I think if there's ever a question for them to meet your parents,
yeah,
that's like a huge
red flag.
Yeah,
right.
Honestly, most of this stuff, like already, if this is a good person that my mom's gonna like or not.
So I I go through this. I'm going through this at a different perspective because I have an 18-year-old son, and so he's in the process of dating and trying to find himself and
Plays the saxophone.
plays the saxophone. Good looking kid.
Yeah.
I'm always looking at behind the scene.
You're looking at the other kid's parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are they living? What is their financial situation? What is their spiritual situation? All of those things. Because what is their drama? Because normally all of that stuff rolls over, and then that's what you're going to have to deal with,
Yeah.
right? So,
And that's wisdom. That's a lot of wisdom.
right,
In that. Yeah.
but it's very calculated because you don't know that going in,
Yeah.
unless you know. There was a situation where Luke was probably around 16, and he started talking to this girl here at church, and cute little girl, but I knew their parents, and it was not a good situation at all. Now the girl seemed to be dealing with all the drama coming from her home life, okay, but I just knew there was going to be a time where it went left.
Yeah.
Because there's not very many people that can go through all of that drama and harm and lack of being raised correctly and all that and still have the right worldly view on relationships.
But so what do you do?
Worldly
in
view.
that
I'm not talking
situation?
about like worldly view, but their view on relationship.
But so say you're Luke, you tell him all that stuff. He agrees with you. What does he do? Hey, I can't date you anymore because you got crazy parents. Like, what do you do?
Well, I'll tell you about. He just recently had a girlfriend, and he went to spring retreat,
Winter retreat.
winter retreat, and came back and said that our spiritual lives don't line up, and we could be friends.
Yeah.
And he broke it off.
There you go.
But you don't get there unless you have a foundation of a father. And I'm not trying to brag, really. I'm not, of telling you things throughout your life to give you opportunities to be able to speak like that. Like I tell Luke, you can say anything, me to Pastor Caesar, anything that you want. Good, bad, ugly, as long as you say it the right way. I've been telling my kids that since they've been 3. I've been with my kids when Luke was little and he was having some like self-esteem, like you can tell that he didn't feel like he was good. When I drop him off at school, remember who you are. You're a Hatley. Remember that you're not just any kid. But if you don't have that growing up, you don't have the confidence to look at a girl and say, hey, because of these things, we can't be together.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that it's built on through the years to really have to be able to speak in certain situations.
Yeah, it's those short term, knowing that you have to win the small battles before you can win the bigger war type. The skirmishes that take place in life, and that's wonderful. And that can happen, that you've built that kind of a relationship with your son, and that's just so important. There's a whole community of people here at the church and outside of church that just are in desperate need of general wisdom.
Yeah,
I think that it can only happen relationally, where they actually believe you invite them into your life and stuff.
And speaking on relationships, that's another one. That's not another one that. The one I always say, you can always speak to anybody, say anything, and I think that really, when you put that in a young person's head, it gives them, because as a kid you feel like you don't have a voice, right? Because you're always told to sit down in the corner. This is grown folk stuff, whatever.
Be quiet.
But I've always given my kids a voice. Even if we're not going to do it, you have a voice. You can say what you feel. And then as they get older, we build on that, and we tell them, build relationships with people that you're going to need. I'm not talking about using people. I'm talking building relationships.
Yeah, support. It's a support system.
It's a support system. So when I was at work, and I took over certain areas of the plant, right? I looked at it. I'm just like, what is the biggest failure in this area, right? And you could apply this to anything in your life. Well, our biggest failure and our biggest downtime was machines breaking down, right? And so how do I combat that? So I begin to buy lunch, have lunch, buy snacks for who? The maintenance team, right?
go.
So I'm beginning to build relationships with them, hang out with them, because now if they get 2 calls that come in at the same time, somebody else's part of the plant or my part of the plant, guess what?
Coming to you.
They're coming to my areas. So we have to apply those type of things in every aspect of our lives, spiritually. So if they say, show me your 5 friends, I'll show you who you're going to be, right? So we have to make sure that those 5 people, 3 are past who we are and 2 are under where we are, right? We're bringing 2 people up, but you also have 3 people up above us speaking wisdom down, right? And one of them needs to be a leader. It needs to be a pastor or somebody at that level. Luke is fortunate enough to have Miss Rachel in his life that speaks into his life boldly, consistently. She doesn't mess around with it, right? So you have to have coming from both ways, and that's what really makes a healthy environment for you.
Yeah. Another question for you. This is for you, Pastor David. Somebody comes to you here at the church and they say something like, well, I just feel like I'm not getting fed here anymore, and I really want to move on because I just feel like there's just a lack.
Yeah.
And what would you say?
I think what we mess up with in as people is we think discipleship goes one way. So I come to you, James. I said, James, I want you to disciple me, right? And then James don't call me back, and I'm just like, I'm not getting fed here. I'm going to move on because I'm not being discipled. But this thing goes 2 ways. When's the last time I've called James?
He don't call me.
I'm not calling James either, right? So if you wanted to be discipled, you need to be making those steps too. The work goes in of me trying to build a relationship with James, and then James really says, okay, this guy's interested in it. Now it's fertile ground. I'm going to invest in it. But so many times we said that we just like, feed me. Listen, I'm not your mom. I'm not going to just volunteer to feed you. I'm not going to chew your food up for you. I'm not going to pick up after you. Yeah. But if you are saying that you'll do the work, I'll do the work with you. I have couples that come and sit here, and I first thing I tell them, I said, are you willing to do the work? Because if you're not willing to do the work, you're wasting my time. And they're looking at me crazy.
Yeah.
And look, man, I have a big family.
Yeah.
I'm taking the time from my family to work on your family. You better be ready to do the work, because guess what I did? I did the work for my family. Or my family would be looking like your family. Right? So I think that it has to go both ways. Yeah. And unless you're willing to put in as much or more work than the person that's discipling you, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. I agree. I like it.
Pastor David, I ain't your mama. Quote it.
But most people don't think that way.
No.
Most people think the discipler needs to be doing all the work.
Yeah, or the church needs to be doing
come
everything.
On, if I thought that about my pastor, he's got 500 sheep.
Yeah.
I got to be going to him and say, don't forget about me. Because he can't disciple 500 people.
No, nobody can.
Right.
No, nobody.
So I have to go in. I have to knock on pastor's door and say, Pastor, can you give me an hour on the 15th?
Yeah.
And let him speak into my life.
And that's so important too, on just another aspect of wisdom. Whenever you come in, whether you're talking to a pastor, you're going to a counselor, you're talking to your boss at work for a raise, or a team that you're trying to get to move in a certain direction. Whenever you go in there with purpose, with an agenda, and know exactly the outcome of what needs to take place. Not just like, well, I'm just here. No, it don't work like that.
Yeah. My mentor in my secular job, we would do meetings once a month, right? And he gave me the outline. When we have our meetings, this is what we're going to cover, and this is what I need you to have. And you schedule it. My calendar is open. You can see where it is. you schedule it. Don't wait on me to schedule it.
Right.
So, and then he also taught me this is if you want me to give you a promotion and you want the position above you, take it, and then I'll give it to you. So that's the mindset that I have. I don't have it. I'm going to wait for somebody to give it to me. I'm going to go get it, and now guess what? You have to give it to me because I've already taken it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Well, they can't give you something that's not already in your possession.
Yeah,
right.
That's why my business went from practically nothing to what it is today because I'm not waiting on for somebody to pick up the phone and call. I'm going out there and I'm getting business. I'm going out there and making it available to other people and working harder. Even if somebody has more skills, they have more money, they have more ways to communicate out to the community, you're not going to outwork me.
And that's why Blue Chew is where it is today.
Right. That's right.
It's not, he doesn't own Blue Chew.
But that's exactly what they're doing. They're not waiting for people to go to their website.
Yeah.
They're
So-
investing in their company and working hard.
Awesome input. And James, so you probably talk to more people than all of us here, just because you're in the service industry. But what is some general wisdom on how to deal with prickly people? Especially, they're not your friends. They're not people you're that are in your regular orbit, but just that you meet every now and then that are just prickly personalities.
Well, first, it depends on if you have to interact with them or not.
You have to interact with them.
Because a lot of times I will just choose to not interact with you.
Sure.
If I have to interact with you, Chick-fil-A used to use this dumb little scale, which is actually pretty useful. I forget what they call it. But basically, a guest comes into the restaurant, and you're supposed to mentally grade them 1 to 10 on their mood level. 10 being the most happy, outgoing, 1 being the lowest, shut up, leave me alone, don't talk to me. And then you're supposed to be, whatever number they are, you're supposed to be 1 or 2 numbers above them. So they come in, they're a 6. So they're fairly happy, but they're not super outgoing. You want to be just above that. And if somebody comes in, they're a 9 and a 10, they're pumped to be there. We're at Chick-fil-A today. You need to be excited for them too. If they come in, they're having the worst day ever.
You don't want to be
welcome to Chick-fil-A! You want to come down? You want to be cool and calm, but still slightly above. You want to be bringing people up. So if you're dealing with rude people, you want to match their energy, but still be a little bit above. I don't know. You got to always stay calm and be cool and in control, because usually when people, if you're dealing with an angry person or a rude person, and you're not cool and calm and in control, what happens is they say something mean to you, and then you say something mean back, and then now we hate each other and we're having a bad time. But if they're having a bad day, they say something mean to you, and you don't take it personally, you brush it off, and then you still are in a good mood, they almost always immediately feel stupid for saying that mean thing. They adjust to your level. So you're always bringing people up to your level. But it's really tough because usually you're tired and it's hard not to be offended by things. But you have to be consciously making an effort to not let people...
What you want to do is just let their drink go all the way down so they're
Yeah.
right? Instead of going in and keeping it filled.
No, what you do is you give them extra service, and you do it in a nice way with a smile. You don't do it...
kill them with kindness.
You kill them with kindness, all that kind of stuff. But the whole thing is you don't let people bring you down. You have to stay unaffected. Even if you really are upset about it, your reaction still has to be cool, calm, and collected. I'm still going to bring you up.
Yeah.
That's what people like.
Yeah,
Which is easier said than done.
Yeah,
But
for
that's
sure.
how
This
you-
was back in 2014. I was working in a company of product. We did a lot of production. It was in Conroe, and man, we would have our transportation people call, and the people that we would use to send material here and there, and they didn't work for the company. They were just the third party logistics. But man, they would call it just the worst attitudes, or whenever they would get there, man, my load's this and that.
Truck
whatever.
drivers are the worst.
Yeah, the truck drivers are, hey, shout out to the truck drivers. You make America run.
Yeah.
Right. But we were always having a hard time, and we would, you get there first thing in the morning, you pick up that phone, and then you hear all the problems, you hear all this. the manager that I had at that time, probably the greatest manager I've ever had. He was the kind of guy that everybody else would have a problem with that driver immediately. I can't talk to this guy. I'm gonna put you on hold. I'm gonna let you talk to so and so. Within 20 seconds, they were both laughing on the phone, rolling laughing, gut laughs, having a good time, and he completely shifted the just that tension-filled moment into one of like, we're gonna get you taken care of.
Yep.
And one of the things that I learned from him that I've implemented ever since then, even in ministry, especially in ministry, whenever you have a problem or whenever you have an issue that needs to be resolved here, you never start out with, I have an issue that needs to be resolved here, right? No, you never start out because that's on the negative side. You always say, hey, I need your help.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he said. So whenever he picked up that phone, he said, I'm going to need your help. And that already onboards people. That already puts the defense is already down. And
Yeah.
now people feel like they have a stake in what's going on and the success of whatever future, results from that. So he said, hey, I need your help. And they're on. They're there. They're in it. They're invested. And you work to a solution. And I've used that ever since 2014 to say, hey, I need your help.
Yeah,
That would work if you're both workers. Like you're in a coworker of some kind situation. If you were in a situation like if I had an issue with another server, I could do that. If I had an issue with a guest, they're mad at us. You don't want to tell them, hey, I need your help. No, you just want to take care of it. You want as little. You don't want them to do as little as possible.
I was listening to an interview one time of this CIA agent, and he was talking about the faster that he could get and put his hand on your shoulder, the faster that he can turn you as a cooperative, right? And it was just one of those things that the faster he could talk and get just to put his hand on your shoulder, and then there was a connection there, right? And I think that we, as leaders, as mentors, disciplers, that's the thing that we need to work towards. It's not necessarily a hand on the shoulder, but a connection, right? Work as fast as we can to make that connection with people. Even in our everyday life, the faster I can make that connection with a customer, hey, where do you work? Especially if it's a guy, because the guy wants to tell you, especially if he's got a good job, he wants to tell you, oh yeah, I'm the big dog over here at this other company, or whatever it may be.
It wouldn't work if I wasn't there.
Yeah. And just let him go on. I'm like, man, I used to be in the oil and gas business.
That's it.
But you also got to know how to serve the person who they are down on their luck. They do not have the good job.
Yep.
In fact, they're there because they just got fired. Or you got
to be ready for all the situations, right?
Yeah, so you got to be able to read people.
Right. And then you have to have, and then over the years, as you're out there selling different things, and you come up with the taggers, the taglines that you tell them.
But see, a lot of people, they'll take this kind of conversation and they'll start implementing like, okay, I got to use these tips and tricks to basically manipulate people.
Yeah, no, you never manipulate.
That's not it, and it's not tips and tricks. They can help you. The whole thing is a genuine, authentic. I actually care about you. I care if you're having a good time or not.
But everybody has taglines.
Yeah.
If you hear somebody, they'll say the same thing to every person in that situation. It's just because that is the experience you have.
Yeah, well, you go out there, you talk to people, and then you see, I say this, and people like it. I say this, people don't like it. It has this effect, that effect, whatever. You pay attention. But, the key to all of that stuff is actually caring. Care about the person.
Yeah, and that just, if people would just follow that, that is a lesson that is rooted in a lifetime of working it and doing it. And we're trying to help you, people.
Trying to help you.
We're trying to help you. Take the wisdom.
The worst when you speak about truck drivers is telling them, "Hey, man, your load ain't gonna be ready till 4:30 this afternoon," and they're just like, "Why?"
And then they take all that frustration into rush hour traffic.
Yeah.
And then it is just a spiral effect with everybody else. Yeah.
That's the other thing, is to realize most of people's angers and stuff, it's probably not even about you.
No.
It's about something else.
It's about something else. Because a lot of those truck drivers, they haven't been home in 10 days.
And also recognizing...
And this is the last load they have to do so they can be home for the next 3 or 4 days.
But in recognizing that the way you handle this situation can make things so much better for that person or a lot worse worse,
Yeah.
and also make it worse for you too, because now
Yeah.
you're both mad.
I usually try to put them off. Hey man, then we're working on it, doing this, and then if we always could get to lunch, if I could just get that truck driver to not freak out until lunch, and I would just go out there, I would knock on his door, and I was just like, hey man, they're still working on that. You want to go to lunch with us?
Boom.
And
We're going
then-
to Fogo de Chao for salad.
And then a lot of the times they're like, nah, whatever, I'm going to stay here, this and that. And I would bring them lunch back or whatever. But, just to be able to show an act of kindness through all of those things, it goes a long ways.
Yeah, because you actually care if
Right.
they're
Right.
upset. We recognize we're behind.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
And we were always behind.
and people, whether they're actually aware
Always
of that
going
or
to
not,
lunch,
people have an internal radar on whether or not you're being genuine or not.
oh yeah.
And I think it was maybe last session or something that I was asked, well, what's one of the key points in dealing with the younger generation? That, right? Just being completely transparent, being genuine. But whenever you lose them, you will never get them back.
Yeah, because there's so much fake stuff out there right now, right? Everybody's got an agenda. Everybody has this thing that they want to sell. Everybody has, something. And I think, and you've kind of said it, you'll see some, the music kind of come around. People want whatever it is, they just want it real.
Yeah.
Bad news, good news, just tell me what it is and let that be it.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what that is, and then next week you tell me something different.
Right.
They just want it real,
Yeah.
and I think that's because it's a information generation. Like they can go on their phones and they can find out the truth. So when you don't tell them the truth right up, they're going to find the truth.
Yeah. Some people will also misconstrue being real with, like in my world, if I told you to be real with the guests, be authentic, you might take that as, maybe you're an 18-year-old kid and now you're calling the guest bro and dude and, no worries, bro.
Pause
I got
on that,
you.
man.
Yeah. So you're just being real. This is how I talk, Okay, but there's also, you want to be real, as in I really do care if your drink gets refilled and I understand that you're upset because this is taking too long. You want to be real and authentic. But to me, the other part of that is professionalism, which there's a marriage of that you got to have. So I'm going to use certain lingo that maybe I don't use with my wife or my best friend when I'm talking to the guest. But that's not because I'm being fake. It's because I'm being professional. And then there's like a good combination, because you can also go too far with that. And now you're so, quote, professional, but now you're not being real and authentic. And people hate that too. So there's a good balance between. I love professionalism. Dude. If I go somewhere and I hate unprofessionalism.
Yeah.
I really hate it. I don't need you to be fake and overly nice or overly whatever. I just want you to be a normal person. I'm the guest right now. Say please and thank you. Say yes, sir. I love professionalism so much. Even just like in my job, if I'm talking to a boss or something like that, I love that we can have a, quote, professional conversation.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
We had this. I'm sorry.
No.
We had this waiter at Taste of Texas. I was going to say kid your age, but
Probably was.
he was probably 25, 27.
Yeah.
And just I'm sure most of those waiters at that level are really, really good.
Yeah. It's a different thing than going to Chili's or something.
Yeah. And so he was, very, very professional.
Yeah.
But then, he had a moment where he was, boxing up the stuff. And so I was just like talking to him about his life. And then you could just for a moment, he took the guard down and showed who he really was. And you can tell he appreciated that he wasn't just my server.
Yeah.
And
And there's a good balance between all that.
And he was, he was just telling me about, the old man came out of me. I was like, man, I know you're probably just going to college again. He goes, man, I just graduated. I'm just like, you got to start saving, The dad started coming out and he was just like, yeah. And he was telling me he's kind of in a different moment right now, because he said that he's making so good money, such good money at this restaurant that if he took the entry level job for what he went to school with,
Make less,
he's taking a $20,000 pay cut. I never even thought about that when you get to some of those higher end restaurants, because I was there an hour and a half, and you have to tip $40-50 by the time your bill.
It doesn't
gets
even
up.
have to be a higher end thing. Like if you're going to college, and you don't even have to be going to college. Like if you just get maybe you get out of high school and you're like, well, I got to make some money and pay these bills right now. I'll figure out school later. And you get like a decent, okay job. You're making $35,000 a year. It's tough to like take off of that stuff and say, I'm going to take this big step back, hoping that in the future it's going to take me forward. Because a lot of people, especially if they're not saving and all that stuff, they get to where, they're living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have that buffer zone to take the time to take a step back. So it can be tough if you're not careful about that.
Yeah.
You say, I'm going to go to school later, and it's like, will you? Maybe.
Well, yeah, and that's always there. I was a person that I went to college immediately after I graduated high school, and then I quit. I quit college the year after, just because it was. Well, I think the biggest attributing factor to that was that just I didn't know how to prioritize my life at that point. So that there was a lot of bad things going on. I wasn't ready for college, not in the sense of the academic strain or anything like that, but it was a priority thing. And I get asked that question quite a few times as far as, should I even go to school? I mentioned it last week as well, that, I think everybody that should try college and see if it's for them, but I don't believe that college is for everybody. No. Sometimes people find their knack, their calling, if you will, in other areas, and that's right. It's tough, right? I'm in my mid-30s, pushing 40s in a couple years, right? And I know. And so I'm not a kid, but I'm not super old yet. And things like 401k and savings and future, that stuff matters to me now more than ever. But I also don't think that the answer to everything is go and do the thing that's going to make you the most money.
Yeah,
because that doesn't always equate to you being fulfilled. And one thing is, okay, well, you have kids and you have responsibilities, so who cares on whether or not you feel good or not? You got to get it done. So yeah, you got to get it done. But on the other side of that is, you can pour your life and your energy and your effort into this thing that you thought that was going to yield the maximum joy and happiness in your life, and you finally get there whenever you get the seat at the board table, whenever you get the fancy degree you were trying to get after, and all your credentials, and then you realize that your glass is still half empty. And why is that? You need to be able to analyze the purposes of why you do things. Why is it that you're going and getting that particular degree? Yeah. Why is it that you're going and pursuing this type of, business or career? What is the purpose? What is the heart behind what is driving you to get to where you want to be? And I talk to these kids all the time, and me going through it as well. From the moment that you are in grade school and at all points, they're pumping your head full of, this is what you got to be. This is what success looks like. You got to be a doctor. You got to be a lawyer. You have to be some kind of, crazy engineer or whatever. Yeah. And then you've arrived. Then you are happy. Then and no, it's not, right? People that are ditch diggers can be absolutely happy. People that are flipping a burger at your favorite burger joint, that they can be absolutely happy in what they are doing, and they don't need to fall into this prescribed mold of what we deem as being successful, right? Because success looks different for everybody, but I tell the young people this, I tell everybody this, it has very little to do with the destination. What really matters in our life is how we get there and who we get there with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Enjoying the process. That's a thing I've been trying to work on too lately. Because the thing you described, like once you get that job, once you get that promotion, that whatever it is, once you get the house, the relationship, then you'll finally be good to go, good, happy, and whatever. I just don't think it's necessarily true. I think it's almost always a lie, and people don't usually recognize that until they get there, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm still upset about this."
I think having a little bit of money makes certain parts of the life a little bit easier and less stressful, because you're not worried about
yeah.
certain things.
Yeah, you can be happy in your crappy job, but you
Yeah.
could also need some money and need health care, and that could be
Same thing.
something you want to.
So we the way our house is, my parents live behind our house, so they call this a transfer tank, where all the wastewater goes to this transfer tank, and then it goes from there to it pumps up to the city sewage. And so we had to put a new transfer tank in, and this Hispanic guy came over there, and they dug this hole and pulling this old poop tank out, basically is like a septic tank, and this dude had so much joy.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to him, and you can tell that his life was so and had so much joy in it, and it was full, and his mom lived with him, and it was so great that his mom finally moved in with him, and he was so proud of his kids and all. And every day he was popping a poop and shoot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this guy had so much joy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think you can find joy in anything that you do.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think others are driven to do certain things. I think for me, if it wasn't pools, it would be something else, just because of the way I'm wired. I'm just constantly got to go and got to do whatever. If I was a musician, I would just be out there grinding.
Yeah.
And most of that time, when you push that hard, it just turns into success, right? So just like what you guys doing, the more you grind, the more success that you see.
Yeah.
So you see the benefits of, I think, what you do.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, I think the key, it's not don't set these big goals, be happy where you're at. You still want these goals. You still need these things to shoot towards and aim towards. The key is understanding that goal isn't the thing that's going to bring you the happiness. You still need to be able to find your happiness and your joy, right here as you're still shooting towards those things too.
yeah.
That's the, I think, difficult
Well,
part.
yeah, I see my mother-in-law. She lives in one of the poorest neighborhoods in Pasadena. If you go in her house, you would never know what the outside of the neighborhood looks like, because the atmosphere in the house is, she loves the Lord. She has pictures of Jesus and scriptures laying around, and no matter she's lacking or has more than enough, her spirit is always the same.
But the message
You know what I mean?
isn't go move into the poorest neighborhood and go be happy there.
Right.
The
Right.
message is like keep going.
Yeah.
Go, these things you want to do, go for it.
Right.
But just know, you should still be able to be happy right
Where you're
now.
at, yeah.
Yeah, where you're at, and I know this conversation can stretch very long with all of this, but I was one thing that I was telling a group of people just the other day, that it's not so much. So the gifts that God gives us, right? The purpose behind those gifts are to share with the church and people, right? It's for now, and one, don't define yourself by what you do, right? Because we're not. And this is another quote. This is not me. I'm not that smart, but this guy said, "We are not human doings. We are human beings. So it's important for us to be
Yeah.
and not do. And so much of our life revolves around doing. We value ourselves by what we do, by who we do it with, right? Places we go, all the toys that we accumulate. It's all that's all the results or the fruit of doing, but that has very little to do with who you are, right? And things that never change, things that shouldn't change.
Yeah.
And that's the part where I want to look back. If I kind of going back to how we started this, and if I was in a casket, I want to make sure that there is a level of consistency in my life where people say, You know, no matter if he had a little bit or he had a lot, he was always the same person.
Yeah.
And I try to model my life that way right now.
I'd say take the opportunities outside of church to develop skills to bring back to the church. Right. I would always be in these meetings and these like they would bring these like gurus in for whatever, and you know we take notes and then I would draw a line right down the middle of the paper, and this side would be ZXP where I worked, and this side would be Elam. And I would always have more notes on how I could take this back to the church and help the church with this information that I'm getting than I ever would like for what they are paying for, you know?
Yeah.
So I always try to bring those skills back here.
Yeah. My thing is just pay attention. No matter wherever you're at, you can be learning so much and developing so many skills if you just pay attention.
Yeah.
And don't keep making the same mistakes.
Put
See what's working.
good people around you. You know, and some of the best people I had around me that I learned from wasn't always Christians, you know? And I know that's kind of like right in the line. They were good people, but they gave me a lot of good wisdom, you know, wisdom that I could live my life by. So I would say, don't always count everybody out. You know, if they don't look like you, sound like you, do the same things that you do.
Did I ever share with y'all that Drayton McLean story?
The Astro guy?
Yeah.
Okay, no.
So again, I think I was in my last year, if not the year before I graduated from UH. That Drayton McLean came in, and this is when he still owned the Astros. After the Astros were really bad.
So he owned the Astros and then the big food company, right? Amex?
Yes. So his background is with the Waltons because his dad was the produce guy for the Waltons for Walmart.
Okay.
Right?
Cool.
So that's where the big money came in there. But he bought he bought the Astros when they sucked, you know.
Right,
so
yeah.
after he sold them, then they got into their, dynasty series and all that. And then they asked him the question. He came to speak to us, and they asked him the question: what's the worst? What's the best financial decision you made? What's the worst financial decision you've made? And he said, buying a Major League Baseball team. Worst financial decision. It's like, well, we saw how that turned out, so you just need the right management. But anyway, so he was there, and then they were asking him, just questions about his success and whatnot. And this guy's a billionaire, right? He's a legitimate billionaire, and a really nice guy. But he talked to us about his dad's business and the reason why one of the reasons why Walmart became what it was because of the logistics, right? How they can move product efficiently. And effectively to point A, point B, and how you do that. Anyway, so he worked for his dad, of course, and he thought just because he was, next in line in the kingdom there, right, that everything was going to come easy to him. But he got his master's degree in business and whatnot. He came back to work for his dad for the produce section of it all. And he thought, and this is what he said, and he thought that his dad was going to give him this cushy job and making so much money, and I have this professional, degree from this prestigious school, and my dad is the owner of this behemoth of a company. So, of course, obviously, I'm the guy, right? He's going to put me in a really good spot. He said that his dad put him on the third shift, stocking and loading the trucks that were going to go to all the stores
for his dad. And
he said he was so angry at his dad for a long time, but then he later realized that was the greatest lesson that his dad would ever teach him about business. So you got this guy with the master's degree in business stocking the trucks on the third shift, and with people that did not go to the fancy school. They probably didn't even finish high school or whatnot. And he said one of the greatest things that he learned was working alongside those people, because he realized those are the ones that made the company
the backbone of the company.
a success. And these were the type of people that whenever there was a problem, they wouldn't go and try to ask somebody else to resolve it. They would find a way to resolve it, get it done, and execute. And they would do that. He said those are the people that you have to watch out for in business. It's not the ones with the fancy degrees. It's not the ones that have, the pedigree. It's the ones that will find a way to get the job done, and they will get it done. And those are the ones, if you're from a management standpoint, those are the ones that you elevate. Those are the ones that you want to get into the boardrooms making the executive decisions, not the people with the fancy degrees, but the ones that will problem solve. And then,
Bro, that's so true.
And then he said, and also the thing that you just cannot discount that's worth way more than any degree is the heart of the person.
Yeah.
Whenever they have the heart to succeed, that's the people that you want in your business, in your jobs, working alongside with, in your sphere. He said that is the greatest thing I have ever learned in business.
That is so true, because I worked logistics for a long time, and we would have these like 30-year vets down in there, and of course they was there 15 years before I started. Didn't speak good English. They spoke English, but not good English, and I learned everything I can learn from it. Right, so we would have these like. Say Shell was coming in and talking about logistics to go to Great Britain or some like random oil field that they were building out in the middle of the jungle in Africa or whatever. And they was trying to figure out how to get this container on a boat through these rugged, dirt roads into the middle of Africa. And then they had all these office people sitting around here. And here I come and I'm bringing Pancho with me, because he's been doing this for 30 years. He's the one should be telling us how this is going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When things went bad, he knew when they returned the container what failed, right? And they were just like, "Why's Pancho here?" I'm just like, because he's the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
And they're looking at me like, what do you mean? Like, we've all, we're the guys. And the Pancho would, every time he would come through, and they, but now that's the thing. Let's find the smartest person in every one. I wouldn't say smartest, but the one that have the experience in every department, and have them be a part of, whatever we're trying to figure out. When early on, well, I'll tell you, about 3 years after I bought my company, it was just, I didn't take a salary for 3 years. Everything that we was doing was just having the company just barely make it, My son was working for me. I was still working a full-time job. And he decided he was going to go do something on his own. And when he was there, I would always tell him, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, because that's what the book told me. I had no field experience of doing anything in pools. Yeah. But I watched the classes and I read the books and I was just, you just need to do this. This, if you have this problem, this is what you need to do. He was just like, Dad, but you're not out here.
Yeah.
It
doesn't work.
It's not working.
Yeah.
So he decided, no like beef between us, but he decided he wanted to go do, all of his buddies were going to the plants and doing different things like that. So he thought he wanted to go do that. So I quit my job, and like, I was a pool guy now.
Yeah.
From that point is when my company started growing, because I understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the very basics all the way up, right? And I think that when you have knowledge from the very beginning from the bottom to the top is when you really start succeeding. No matter where you are, just continue to bring in that knowledge. That's why you see the way it used to be. You used to be able to start at the bottom of a company and work your way up to CEO. Those were the good old days. That's what America was. America.
Yeah.
Right? Not when you get a master's degree and your dad hands you the company over and then you run into the ground and then you sell it for a few $1 million and you retire. Yeah. That was the good one. When America was running at its best, when Ford was the ultimate, conveyor line producing cars, and the good old hardworking people That's when America was really
Yeah, because it just wasn't a widget that they were producing anymore. It was a product of their soul,
Yeah.
of their heart, of their hard work, of their ingenuity, their experience, and their legacy.
Yeah.
You know, people wanted to make things that lasted, that their family members and friends were going to use as well. And now that so going back to you have a moral dilemma about the shoes. There you go. But anyway, you know, and I think all the stuff that we've talked about today, I mean, we can talk about it at length, right? With just general wisdom that we've all heard, but it's just so important to, once you hear this wisdom, apply it.
Yeah. I think no matter if you go to school or you just find you a job and work hard, never stop learning.
Yeah.
You know, always learn. And then in this day, in this generation, man, you could fire up YouTube or whatever, some self-help class or whatever it may be. There's no reason that you shouldn't understand whatever you're trying to figure out.
Yeah, you can learn whatever you want to learn.
Whatever you want to learn, just keep learning every day of your life. Learn something new, and I think it'll make you a better person.
Yeah, if you apply one of these things in the coming weeks, in the coming months, and you see some fruit come out of it, why don't you catch us in the halls over here and say, hey, you know what? I tried that, and I got some good results. And if it doesn't work, then don't find me. I don't want to listen to
Don't
it.
catch me outside, people.
And Pastor David is not your mama, so remember that.
All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by, and we love you.
This is The Refuge Project.